everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're building a .NET Core 8 Web API and an Angular app from scratch. I'll walk you through setting up both projects and pushing them to separate Git repositories in Azure DevOps. Make sure to check out the link above for a separate video where I cover setting up your Azure DevOps account. You'll also find a link in the description to my library of related videos for more in-depth tutorials and tips. Let's dive in. First, I'll create a repository in Azure DevOps for the backend API project. Here, you'll need to enter your preferred repository name and create the repository. Next, I'll create a separate repository for the front-end project. Again, you can enter your front-end repository name and create it. Next, I'll open Visual Studio and create a new project. When prompted to select the project type, I'll choose the app.NET Core Web API template. If you don't see it in the sidebar, use the search function to find it. Once selected, click the Next button in the bottom right corner. After that, enter your project name, choose the desired directory for saving, and then click Create. Here, you can select the LTS version. Currently, the LTS version is .NET Core 8, so I'll keep that as is. I'll also leave the other settings at their default values, and then click Create. Now the project is created. I won't change the controller or API endpoints just yet. We'll cover that in future tutorials. For now, click the Run button at the top to start the project. Now you'll see that Swagger documentation is integrated. You can run the API to check if the responses are coming through as expected. This is the response returned by the controller's GET method. Similarly, you can get the response without using Swagger like this. Swagger does the same thing but provides a nicely documented view of the response. Now, I'll create the front-end Angular project using the Angular CLI. To start, I'll first create a folder for the project. If you haven't installed Angular CLI yet, you can search for Angular CLI in your browser. In here, select the first site option, which is the Angular CLI site. It has instructions for installation, checking versions, and more. Just run the first command to install it. It's that easy. I'll go back to my folder path and open the command prompt by typing cmd in the address bar. In the command prompt, type ngno followed by your project name. It will ask if you want to add routing. Type Y and press enter. Then, select a CSS as the stylesheet format. The project setup will take a moment, so I'll fast forward to that point. Now you can see that the setup is complete and the files are created properly. Now I'll open this project in IntelliJ. If you prefer VS Code, that's fine too. I use IntelliJ, but you can use VS Code without any issues. I have opened the project folder now. I'll then start the project by running npm start. It will take a moment, so I'll fast forward to the point where it's running. Now, you can go to localhost in your browser to see the site. You'll see the default Angular template. I'll add some CSS and make a few changes with my code to customize it. You can find the code solution in my GitHub repository, which I'll add to the description below. I will be adding my logo image to the assets folder. I will then copy my prepared styles to the CSS file to make it look good. I will also be adding the HTML. Now you can see that I've adjusted the CSS to improve the appearance. In future sessions, we'll dive deeper into this application, working on login functionality and other features. For now, we'll leave it as is and cover everything in upcoming sessions. Be sure to check out my playlist for future videos, it's in the description below. Now, I'll push these two projects to their respective repositories that we created in DevOps. I will first push the front-end code to the DevOps repository. After opening the command prompt, I'll type Git in it. If you check the Git status, you'll see the files that will be pushed to our repository. I'll then add all the files and check the status again. Now you'll see that the files are staged for commit. Now, I'll enter the command to commit. Now, I will need to copy the command from the DevOps site. I will then run that command in the prompt. Now, when you refresh, you'll see that the code has been pushed successfully. Now, I'll do the same for the backend code base. I'll remove any existing .git folders if they are present. I'll initialize the repository, commit all the files, and push them to the branch. I will then need to copy the command from my backend DevOps repository. I will then run the command, just as I did earlier for the front-end repository. When you refresh, you'll see the files in the repository. Alright, we've successfully set up and pushed both our backend API and front-end Angular projects to their respective repositories in Azure DevOps. We've covered the entire process from creating the projects to managing our code with Git. Don't forget to check the description for links to the GitHub repo and other related videos. If you found this helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.